was a thing that money could buy. The rich would live and the poor would die. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust.
With the whiskey ring and the railroad trust. Let the rich man live and the poor man bust. With the whiskey ring and the railroad trust. My name is Si Kahn. I wrote the book, Music and Lyrics, for Mother Jones in Heaven and Hell. Mother Jones was named the most dangerous woman in America by a West Virginia prosecuting attorney back at the turn of the last century. And that's legitimately earned. She was mouthy, courageous, outrageous, and she's responsible for justice for coal miners, the first child labor legislation in this country. She was famous and infamous.
I am speaking to a crowd of 2,000 striking miners. They cheer till their horse throw their hats in the air, and everyone offers to buy me a drink at the bar.
So Mother Jones in Heaven and Hell is a show set in an Irish pub. But is the pub in heaven? Is it in hell? Is it somewhere in between? And Mother Jones arrives having just died, and there is a bartender who is her foil and her interrogator. And he leads her through her life and all the contradictions. Part of what makes Mother Jones a wonderful theatrical subject is her extraordinary complexity. She is heroic. She is courageous. She's also an inveterate liar. She identifies with the working class, but she loves hanging out with wealthy women. And she is silent on some of the critical issues of the day. So one of the things that the bartender does is to challenge her and to say, "You lied again, didn't you?" And I think that that kind of complexity makes for good theater.
Morning has broken like ice on the lake. Out on the sidewalk, children are standing far from their...
So my musical background is eclectic. I grew up in musical theater and on 50s rock and roll. I think in Mother Jones in Heaven and Hell, what you see and hear are many different types of music. Show tunes, more traditional tunes that are characteristic of somebody who's going into coal mines in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. It's a mix, and I think the mix strengthens it. Yeah, people say, "So you're a musician?" I'm like, no, actually, I'm a civil rights union and community organizer. I'm in my 52nd year doing that kind of work. So I've worked with textile workers, I've worked in the Southern Civil Rights Movement, I've worked with coal miners, I've worked with immigrants, with prisoners, not to speak for them, not to lead them, but to help them believe in themselves, to help them become their own leaders, and to achieve the change in their lives that could lead to.
When babies learn to spin and spool, then gold has bought the gold.
As an artist, I have tried to resist self-censorship. I've tried to write about the whole of life. And the whole of life is friends, it's communities, it's neighbors, it's children and grandchildren. But it is also sexual harassment, and it's also poverty. And I don't want to leave that stuff out. I feel a responsibility as an artist to tell the whole story, but to tell it in a way that invites people in. So at the end of the musical, Mother Jones in Heaven and Hell, the bartender asks her to sum up her life. And this is how she does it. I have been a radical for 60 years and more. Stood against the rich and greedy, for the workers and the poor.
With fire in our bellies, revolution in the air. For a moment we saw clearly, I was there.
One of the wonderful things about Mother Jones is that she appeals to a really broad cross-section of people, to everyday people, to women. Young people are inspired by her. She talks about the whole history of oppression of all kinds of people. Mother Jones really was a person for all times, and I think that comes across. When the rose called anywhere, Can you stand and answer proudly, we're still here? Will you stand and answer proudly, I was there?
I have known women who slept on the floor on a blanket, giving their bed up so I could have rest for the night. I have known women who marched against high-powered rifles, stared down those barrels, dared them to fire.